Hell yeah.
There you go.
Set.
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Oh, right there's. Come on.
Eat it off of that. Come on. Come on. Dude, try it. I want to.
I'm a party machine. I played Skyrim a million hours. Wanted to be in a world where I had power. It was a lonesome year.
The key with fishing is you got to become one with the trout and the bass. And to become one with them, you've got to be in touch with their food source. So this year we have a really big opportunity, and everyone's been super excited about it all around the country, and specifically down here in Nashville. The cicada hatch is really strong this year.
They're calling it cicada get-in.
We always have them every single year. How the cicadas operate is they live underneath the ground and then they crawl out and then hatch into adults. They're not an aquatic bug, they're completely terrestrial, and then they crawl out onto the trees and hatch, and they're really bad at flying. They're great targets for the fish. This year though, we had a really big event that we will never see ever again, because with different cicada broods, there are some that stay underground for a long time, and they're in mass quantities. These broods are huge. This year, we had a 13-year brood and a 17-year brood combine and hatch at the same time, and so there has been millions of them, just an absolute huge boom year for them. So it's a pretty unique opportunity to come out here and see these awesome bugs. The one thing we've run into a little bit this year though, everyone was super excited about the cicada hatch, this massive brood. The fly shops were selling loads of them, buckets of cicada patterns. Unfortunately this year it kind of combined with when they hatched, and we had a couple floods, and it kind of put a damper on the hatch a little bit. Not necessarily the bugs were out, but all the rivers and everything were just completely blown out. So right when the hatch, they come really quickly and then they leave very quickly. So they started showing up here the beginning of May, and I didn't see very many. And then one day I woke up, went outside, and they were all over the house, the side of the house. The husks were just everywhere, and it was like, it is on. Like they're coming. And it literally was like the flip of a switch. And then they die off pretty quick, and come mid-June, they're gonna be gone. So it was funny, we had those floods come in. There goes a cicada right across the camera right now. Yeah, those guys. I'll grab them, eat them. So yeah, this year we had this flood that happened right when the bulk of the hatch happened, which put a damper on a lot of people's expectations. Fortunately though, we got a weather window where the flows dropped down, our rivers cleared up, and the bugs are still out and about. They're starting to die, but they're still out here, and so that's kind of how the hatch has landed this year with our water levels. One of the best parts about Nashville is there's a ton of diversity and a ton of different fisheries right outside of us. So, we guide on 6 different rivers that are all within an hour and a half of here. So we started off day one, we went to one of my favorite rivers. It's the Collins River. It's actually pretty well known in the fly world because it's one of the best musky fisheries out there for fly fishing. But we went out there targeting smallmouth bass, some panfish. We didn't really chase muskies. We did after we saw them a couple times, but so that's kind of the cool thing with the Collins. It's a small river, small bass fishery, and we float down. It's a pretty great little place. And again, I think on that day we probably only saw a handful of other kayaks out there. So that was kind of the game plan on the Collins, was go out, throw topwater for some bass. Day 2, we went to the tailwater trout fishery that's near town. It's called the Caney Fork. Really popular. It's where you're gonna see the most fly fishermen in town. But out there, the idea was, hey, the trout are gonna eat them too. So we went out and got out there, got after it. They ate them pretty well out there. And yeah, just think of a slow moving tailwater, western tailwater. It's a little different. But yeah, chasing trout out there, and that's a pretty cool river.
How is it that you got into fly fishing?
I grew up in between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. You know, as a kid, I grew up running around the outdoors. Like, my dad took me backpacking, all that stuff. He wasn't really into fly fishing though, but he had a fly rod and he would be like chucking it around. And this was like, you know, a $30 Fenwick that my grandpa had, you know, that gave it to him. And my dad had no clue what he was doing. I had 2 memories of him catching a fish on it. And I was, but like I said, we did a ton of other outdoor stuff that my dad was knowledgeable in. And then I was in the Boy Scouts, and we were doing a week-long rafting trip down the Snake River. We're gonna do fundraising, and you have to get all of the money for it through fundraising, so your parents can't pay for it. So that way everybody has an equal opportunity. So we were going on this trip, and at the last second they were like, you know what guys, we'll run it for you for 400 bucks a guy. And well, I had already done my fundraising, and I'm like 13, 14, and I'm like, well, now I got $100. I'm gonna go buy a fly rod, because I really like fishing, but I had never fly fished. Got obsessed with it. I mean, I didn't catch anything on that trip. My leader was like literally straight like 30-pound test, because I didn't know what a leader was, but I knew you had to have one. And I like tied an overhand knot into my fly line to like get it on there, like didn't know shit. And my dad didn't know either. But caught a few fish, and then it was like game over, man. Like I would like do my homework, do my sports, or go to work as I got older. And it was like, I'm studying fly fishing. Like I would sit on a computer and like learn as much as I could for like 4 hours a night, like until like midnight. And then when I could, I would go out and like try and do it out on the water and like watch a ton of, like I filled my parents back in the day, it was TiVo. Dude, they would get so mad at me because their TiVo would be full of nothing but fly fishing videos.
When I was younger, I only wanted expensive things. I used to dream of the life they'd bring and all the places I'd go. I only wanted to show that I had it better off, and all the people around me thought
Get him,
my ship was under control.
Asleep at the wheel again.
Oh, he jumped.
My ship was under
He's a brown trout.
What? Tennessee brown trout?
Yeah.
And I wanna know what it means to be free. All these things that I think I need, I just wanna be free.
The flycraft is absolutely vital for the outfit down here. We couldn't do what we do without the flycraft, 100%. There's some fisheries that we have access to due to having this boat rather than a hard-bodied boat. The Harpeth is the best example. There is not a legitimate boat ramp on the entire Harpeth River. It is all really bad access points. There's kayak put-ins that the state has set up, but we're talking this is a staircase going down a steep bank, or what we did, dragging it under bridges. Like there's no way you can get any hard bottom boat in there. The Harpeth, for the close fisheries, literally you will never see anybody else on a boat like ours out there. The only thing you will see is kayaks because nobody can get any other type of boat in there. Same thing on the Collins. There are boat ramps out there, but the hard thing with the Collins is, again, our rivers fluctuate wildly with the flows. And the Collins, when it's at about 1,200 cubic feet, you can get a full boat down there, a full drift boat, things like that. But once it gets dropped and it's below 1,000, you really can't get any hard boat down it. You're just gonna run into the ground a lot of places on there. So these boats really allow me, no matter what the flow is, I can be out there fishing on the Collins and I don't have to worry about getting my boat down anything. What I love most about the Flycraft, the weight first and foremost is super important. I mean, I've guided out of other rafts from other companies, and there's some launches that just due to the weight of a full-size raft, it's just logistically impossible. So with us, you know, we're able to have a 3-man guide, which is a full-size boat, plenty of room for people to fish, but it's super lightweight to where we can really put it anywhere we need to. The other thing I love about them is they're thought out much better than other rafts that I've been in. I've kind of gotten the feeling from a lot of other rafts I've been in that, hey, this is a whitewater raft that we kind of put a frame on that you can fish off of. Things like just places for the line to snag is one of the biggest things with the Flycraft that I love. You can tell that it was really thought out well by fly fishermen and people who fish. That was a good cicada eat, to where, hey, your line's snagging a lot less than it does on other boats. So the fact that it's a raft that's really made by fly fishermen for fishermen is ideal. It's perfect.